Let's move into our final topic, and that is Kevin Porter Jr., the freshman from USC. He just got suspended indefinitely. USC coach Andy Enfield said that Kevin Porter Jr.'s suspension is indefinite. He also indicated that there's a chance Porter could have played his last game for the Trojans. He was suspended for conduct issues. Will reevaluate his future with this program this week. Kevin Porter was not playing for the Trojans. We talked about that. What was that? Mock draft time? I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We talked about that 2 weeks ago. He hurt his foot.
It was a thigh bruise.
Thigh bruise. We were like, well, he should be coming back now because he was out for a while. Only played about 5 games to start the year, then sat out 2 games, then played against Nevada for 4 minutes, then got hurt again. He did end up coming back on January 10th, which I think it was like 2 days after we recorded that podcast in the mock draft. Went 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. Had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 personal fouls, and 5 points. Was nothing great. And sat out the next 2 games for Oregon and UCL due to the suspension. So the first question is, how does this affect his draft stock? Obviously not a good look to get suspended indefinitely from your team. It's not entirely sure that he's kicked off the team yet. But Ricky, what comes to your mind when you hear that Kevin Porter Jr. is suspended indefinitely?
Well, the first thing I think of is they're being very vague about it. Like, there are some where it's like the exact quote where he says conduct issues. There's some articles that say, like, they use the word, like, personal. And to me, I don't know exactly until I know exactly what went on. However, you can make assumptions without knowing exactly. And for me, this is one that it might not hurt a ton, but it'll hurt enough because I feel like in the range where he is, it was like him, Culver, Keldon Johnson that are all, like, packed together. You can either put like Darius Garland with his injury in there, DeAndre Hunter also, and now it might kind of push him to the bottom of that pack ever so slightly just because this goes boop and puts a question mark next to him. Just a question mark because we don't know exactly what conduct issue means in this reason or in this context.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could be like, right now coming out and being like, oh, he's outside the top 10. He's not going to be a top 10 draft pick, and we could just be coming out like he was playing video games too late or something like that. And
he
just
wore
like,
the wrong shorts
USA
to
was
practice.
or something like that. I doubt it's that petty, but like it could be something very minor. We don't exactly know. Dave, what do you think though about his draft stock? Because my immediate reaction, I'll give my opinion first before we go to you. It was that he's outside the top 10 now. I wouldn't put him in the top 10 because the biggest thing to me is always what type of player are you and what type of person are you? How are you going to help your team? And I know, basketball in some ways is an individual sport because if you have the best player, you have the most talented player, there's just an edge automatically. If you have Michael Jordan on your team, you have an edge because he's going to give you 38. He's going to put up. He's going to be the guy that takes it to the next level during competition. And if a guy's getting suspended, taking himself away from his team, where is his mind? Is his mind already on the NBA draft? Well, then that kind of brings up the idea of him being selfish. And then if he's being selfish, then how is that going to affect the team dynamic? We look at Kyrie Irving right now. Kyrie Irving's a fantastic player. He's struggling with being the guy, with being the leader. He's trying to say, I'm trying to become a better leader, and then also calling out his young teammates. So he's still trying to find his way. And I think, not showing that maturity, although it is very young, his kid's only 19 years old, is something that is at least detrimental to his draft stock to me right now. I don't know what it's going to be like in May, but right now it is detrimental. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. At the moment, with the information we have available, I would say he's somewhere between 7 and 10. I don't know. I'm putting him outside of my top 10 yet because we don't have enough information, and I still think the potential demands top 10 pick.
You want to know what's funny? And I don't mean to cut you off. I'm looking at an article here from...
Is it the Goodman one?
Yeah.
Fuck
do you have that? Then you do.
I was going to bring up... No, go ahead.
Basically, there's 3 NBA execs where... Yeah. And the funny thing is, one goes, yeah, he's lottery anyways. Even if he played more consistently this year, could have been as high as top 3. Yep. There's another that's like, he's immature, he's undisciplined in every way, on and off the floor, he's wild. And then there's another that's like, hey, you know what? This is just made him, people dig more and more at him. He'll go 5 to 15. Like, 3 vastly different views of, like, hot, medium, and cold when it comes to it.
No, and I understand why, because there's so little information about him, so everything that comes out is instantly magnified.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of this will kind of work its way out during interviews, working up to the NBA draft, and that's really where we're going to see his stock settle in. But I agree. The guys like Keldon Johnson, who is busting his ass out there, looking
Had 28
great.
points today.
Yeah, he looks great. He's intense. He's got a ton of energy. He's a good scorer, and his work ethic is there. Like, everything about him screams, this is a good guy for your team. Jarrett Culver, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. Guy's an absolute two-way stud, great potential, and yet he's right fighting that range. Even Nasir Little, working his way back, being more consistent with his playing time. I just think that Kevin Porter's potential demands, for me, he stays top 10. Where in that top 10 is depending on how much of a risk you want to take. I do think it will get cleared up by the time we hit the NBA draft. I think those interviews will shake out. Whatever it is, I think there's an issue with, like, they can't talk about it because he is a college student and there are some details that have to be kept quiet. But I do believe that it's going to be asked. That's the first question will be like,
what happened?
What happened, and are you healthy now? Like, those are the two concerns. Everything else is gravy. Like, oh, yeah, you can ball out there if your workout looks good. If you act like a mature adult, awesome. If you act like a stupid kid, somebody will still take a chance on you because they think, oh, I can make this work for us. I can put guys around him, build a support staff for him, and I can get the most out of him. Like, it's one of the things where college basketball, like you said, Sean, having the better player gives you the best chance to win. Like, it doesn't matter how bad he is. Like, you attack Jimmy Butler all the time for his attitude. You as well. I mean, it's just one of those things where, and rightfully so at times, but he's worth having on the team because he gives you a better chance to win. So I think the immaturity of a Michael Porter Jr., not Michael Porter Jr., wow. Kevin Porter Jr.
Yeah, not related.
Not related. Is absolutely worth the risk as long as the story checks out. Because I guarantee you, by the time the draft happened, or by the time those interviews happen, coaches have called USC and are already asking. Scouts are already talking, but nothing's going to become public.
Yeah, my thing is with this is, like, you look at guys who have had those, like, personality issues, and it has worked in the NBA because they're talented. You look at Meta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest.
Good Lord.
Formerly known as, what was Panda? What was he?
Yeah.
Something Panda.
Yeah, like Love Peace Panda. He's been able to work and be an NBA champion before. Like Dennis Rodman as well. Like, these guys have personalities, but when is it personalities to then detriment to the team? Because, Ron Artest was, in all regards, at least as a Laker, was loved as a teammate.
The Panda's friend.
The Panda's friend, thank you.
Friend.
But Ron Artest as a teammate in Los Angeles was loved as a teammate. It was just,
I think it was loved everywhere. That's a funny thing. Like, outside of, when he went up and punched a fan, I'm sure those fans
the Pistons didn't like him too much.
I'm sure they didn't appreciate that.
I don't think Indiana had a problem with it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But, like, my thing is, like, you've seen guys who have been kind of seen as cancers in some ways outside of a locker room be fine and be successful. It's just when it's an internal cancer, and if it's going to be, if Kevin Porter is one, we don't know. And that's a question that is sticking out, is can he be an internal cancer? And I wasn't sold on him too much. If you look at our mock draft, Dave, you had him the highest, going 5 to the Hawks. Ricky, you had him second highest, going 6 to the Wizards. I had him going 9 to the Magic at Kevin Porter. 9 to the Magic. My thing, though, with Kevin Porter is I didn't see enough basketball skill from him. He's a fun player to watch. He's athletic, but I didn't see enough basketball skill. And this is kind of going back to the whole Dennis Smith thing, kind of just in a bigger guard. I was never sold on him as a basketball player yet. And now I'm just less sold as a basketball player because, again, what are you going to be able to do as a leader? If you are going to be this guy that's a highlight player, a guy that's throwing down dunks, a guy that's scoring, putting up numbers, where does that fit in the NBA if you're not a guy that can be a number one scorer, if you're a guy that is just an athlete, and then you're also a problem in the locker room? That's the thing that, to me, there's 3 red flags there that this kid, I haven't seen him be a number one scorer so far. I haven't seen him be anything outside of an athlete, and I haven't seen him so far be a great teammate. There's 3 red flags to me. I don't know where the selling points really are on Kevin Porter yet. And maybe you guys have seen them. I haven't seen the selling points for Kevin Porter Jr. yet.
The selling point for me, and even in that Goodman piece, one of the execs mentions the name. the saving grace for him through this, depending on what it is, if it's something petty, then whatever. Forget what I say just here. The saving grace is the link to James Harden. Because as long as people compare you to James Harden, people are going to think that's what you can become, and there's going to be an NBA team that goes, oh, James Harden? Let's take a shot on it.
My thing is, though,
a la the Grizzlies at 6 could.
My thing is with this, though, is if it does great for him if he goes 6.
Yeah.
You're getting more money, congratulations. Doesn't mean you're going to pan out to shit.
Oh, no, I know.
So that's my thing is, as a prospect, sell me on Kevin Porter Jr. because I'm not sold by anything I've seen so far from him out of USC.
Sure. So he is a 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan. He's creative with the ball in his hands. The thing that a lot of people want to knock him for is his shot from outside has not been consistent. He's got a good stroke when he's working with the ball in his hands. He usually can pull up to a step, like jab step, and obviously we know his step back shot is the reason why people compare him to James Harden mostly. But the thing for him that I would love to see is him to be able to facilitate more. I think a lot of that was being held in check by USC's system. I don't want to knock the coach because it's college. And your job as a college coach is to win college games. It's not to showcase players. You're not John Calipari out there trying to sell people on the whole, like, come sign with my team I'll get you to the NBA. Like, that's not his job at USC. But what he is someone who can create offensively and who can continue ball movement for the team. He's not necessarily the best facilitator, but like I said, I think he has all the capability to be a decent one. I think James Harden level would be high. You have to be high to think that he could have average more than 5 assists a game. But I do think that he could have 3. You know, he's a reasonable passer. But the thing for me is just it's the offensive creativity. It's the fact that he can go get you a bucket if you need a bucket, and that will always have value in the NBA. A lot of people devalue just he's a scorer. No, he is a creator on offense, and if you get him in the right team, I think that absolutely he can translate the next level. I'm concerned if he goes to the wrong team and they try to use him like Ricky's saying.
Well, here, what's the right team then for him? Is there a team out there that you can see in the top 10 that would be the right team for him? And let's real quick just go back to when James Harden was drafted, 2009, and let's compare a little bit of the stats. I'll be nice. I'll compare the freshman stats, right? From whatever little games we've had from Kevin Porter Jr. from what we had from James Harden. James Harden played 34 games in his college career in his freshman year, shot 52% from the field on 10 attempts per game, shot 40% from 3 on 3.2 attempts per game, went to the line 6.6 times, shot 75% from the line, got 5.3 boards, 3.2 assists, 2.1 steals, 0.6 blocks, and then about 2.6 turnovers. With Kevin Porter, 50% from the field, so that's a little bit close to Harden's 52, 34% from 3, that's on 3 attempts per game, so the attempts are around the same. Harden was a little bit better of a three-point shooter. And then from the line, Kevin Porter, much worse from the line, only going 2 times a game compared to Harden's 6. And Kevin Porter shooting 53% from the line, 3.4 rebounds compared to Harden's about 5, 1.7 assists. Dave, you brought up the wanting to see the facilitation less than Harden, and then turnovers very closer. The assist-to-turnover ratio worse for Kevin Porter compared to James Harden. So James Harden was a better college player. He did end up staying another year, becoming the Pac-10 Player of the Year, and then going 3rd behind Hasheem Thabeet, of all people, and Blake Griffin. Then behind him, Tyreek Evans, Ricky Rubio, Johnny Flynn, and then some bum named Steph. So again,
2 point guards, not Steph Curry.
Well, and we kind of see in that draft too, like you see Tyreek going to the Kings. Really wasn't the best fit after his rookie season because went 25-5 was fantastic that rookie season, but was never able to turn it into anything. Rubio was not the best fit in Minnesota, just did not pan out. He took too long to develop, and people beat him up there. Johnny Flynn just was not an NBA level talent.
Well, he got hurt.
He got hurt, but also wasn't great. And then Steph clearly was the right fit. So there are right fits. So what's the right fit for him?
I think that if he goes, honestly, 5 through 7, one of those teams, Atlanta, I love their young core. I think that he is an instant addition. The question is, if how much do you believe in Herder being a starting 2 or 3 in the NBA? Because I think that Kevin Porter Jr. Would probably take that spot from him if he can pan out. Herder's shot is amazing, though, right now. So I'm like, I want to lean on the Splash Bros light. Orlando, great fit as long as they're confident they can go get themselves a point guard in free agency. You know me, my rule with Orlando is go get a point guard in the draft, though. So I would be very hard pressed.
They were the Trae Young team last year.
I would be very hard pressed if Garland and Morant are still available if they went with anyone other than those two.
Especially if Morant's available.
Yeah,
I'll
I think
my
Memphis
TV.
is the wrong team.
Really? I think that the only thing that's good
Yeah.
about Memphis is that he can kind of like we talked about in the last segment. Spotlight's not going to be on you. It's not a huge market. You can
that's a
be
bad
there
thing, though.
with Jaren Jackson and just develop and not have any pressure.
I think kind of not having that, what's it called?
they're not my number one best fit, but I don't think they're absolutely.
I think
horrible.
not having the spotlight on him kind of takes away responsibility. It kind of takes away, what's the word I'm looking for? He just wouldn't be held accountable for things is what I'm trying to say. Like you're playing in Memphis, the media is not consistently on you. They're not consistently watching you. You can take plays off. No one's gonna like bash a Memphis rookie.
Some people
if you start
that work,
playing
some
well
people
like
it
Jaren Jackson Jr., then you're gonna be seen. But when Jaren Jackson Jr. is fouling out, every other game, like we're not really bashing the kid. We just see him when he's playing good.
Exactly.
I think you need to have accountability. So I think being in Atlanta, Orlando, and Memphis, I'm not really high on those places because you're not having that accountability.
There's one place that's worse in the top 10 than Memphis.
What's that?
Washington. I would hate for him to go to Washington. Stay away from the John Wall, Bradley Beal, like Scott Brooks drama that is going on in Washington.
Also, they just took,
Troy Brown.
a guard in Troy Brown, who
and
they
then
have
don't play him.
refused to play because they say he's not good enough.
You know who I would really like for him? And this is if he fell. Detroit. I think Detroit working with Dwayne Casey could be a good fit. And the thing that I look at, the only other negative that I would say that Dave didn't is his 3-point percentage. I know it's only 7 games that he played in college. Isn't exactly where you would like it. But Dwayne Casey's a guy where when he was in Toronto last year, his star player in DeMar DeRozan didn't really shoot lights out from 3. So he doesn't need a knockdown 3-point shooter at the 2 because he had DeMar DeRozan. And Kyle Lowry was almost at 40%, but like
That's pretty good.
DeMar DeRozan was like diddly poo.
DeMar
from 3.
DeRozan, another USC kid. Huh.
But DeMar DeRozan didn't have the problems that
I
Kevin
know.
Porter
I
did.
just like saying it because
Here's the team that I think would be the best spot for him because I think he's outside of the top 10. So I think you
you're
can
gonna push him back.
right
All
off
right.
his
Well,
I
because you
think
had him
so.
at 9, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's fair.
And then
Yeah.
you drop him.
Yep.
I think there are the perfect teams for him at 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Oh.
Boston would be the best fit for him because you're having Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge, and it's not a massive – it's a big market, but it's not a massive market. Hold on. I know you're bringing up the Kyrie stuff. Just wait.
I was just say, where's his playing time gonna come from?
Well –
You got Jaylen Brown in front of him, and in front of him, you got Marcus Smart.
but here's the thing that I would say with that is make him work for it if he's coming off of a suspension like that. Jalen had to work for his minutes, and he got gifted some minutes because of injuries. Jason had to work for his minutes and got gifted because of some injuries. I think you need to have him work for something because if he's just gifted, because on USC, I mean, he's going to get the ball anyways because he's the best damn player on the team. What was he working for? What was he striving for? You need to put something back into his work ethic. Give him a difficulty and see how he's going to react to it. Because Boston can take a shot on that.
They can.
I mean, what is Boston going to lose on missing out on a draft pick? They're still going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference. I think that would be the best fit for him because it's not in LA where it's going to be crazy nightlife left and right. We don't know what the personal conduct was for it, so that might be too much of a cocktail and too much of a mix there. So I'm a little iffy about LA.
Interesting.
But Boston, I think, is a nice mix of not too crazy of a town, still popular, and then you have those veterans on the team that he might look up to. Might look up to a Kyrie. Can learn some offensive games from Kyrie, and Kyrie's finally becoming a leader. He might lead Kevin Porter to the promised land. But also, he's seen Jaylen Brown's rise, another Pac-12 kid. He's seen Jason Tatum's rise. I think that would be huge as well. Minnesota, I think, would be an interesting team if you got the right coach because you're kind of away from that life. But Minnesota still does have a spotlight on them because of Wiggins, because of Cat. They're consistently going to be viewed. And those guys taking a next step, that's going to be big as well. New Orleans would be interesting, too, because of AD. If AD stays, Drew's there. I think Alvin Gentry's a good enough coach to keep his mind there. They finally have a young player to revitalize that team. I think he'd be interesting there. The second team that I like, though, it would be the Clippers because you have Jerry West, you have Doc Rivers, you have a ton of veterans on that team. And I know they just drafted Jerome Robinson, but he is not playing.
Yeah,
so
what's the deal with that?
He's not good.
He's not good.
He's not good.
The pick that everyone was really surprised to see Well, yeah, that seems a little high. A little high.
We all had him going in the 20s. I'm proud of us guys.
Yeah.
We were smart. My thing though is with that is like if he's that talented, he can usurp whatever. He could
surp up all those minutes.
Jerome Robinson. And he has 2 veteran coaches and veteran big names, Doc Rivers and Jerry West, to kind of give him stay in line. So I think that would be at least the 2 best fits in my mind.
Atlanta's
would be Boston
got
and
2
LAC.
picks in the top 10. You not see them taking a shot with one of those?
Here's the thing, though.
I'm not saying that's where I see him
You're
going.
okay.
I'm saying best fits.
Okay.
Thing about that, though, and why I like your Boston one, right now the Grizzlies are a game and a half away from giving their pick back to Boston. If Boston's at 9, because the Grizzly pick would be in Boston, that's one where I'm like, ooh, Boston could take him at 9. And that could be a good fit.
Do you think the Grizzlies are going to win games?
No, but I'm saying like they're not going to win games.
We just spent an entire segment
they
just
could
trashing
win enough.
9 in their last
They
10,
could
bro.
win enough games to be higher in lower in the draft than Dallas and Washington. And the games back they're close enough. Like Dallas is going to lose, Washington's going to lose, Memphis is going to lose.
Here's my other thing.
It's just where they finish up in the end.
If Boston takes him, I just want to point you guys to one of their guards. I was Googling NBA players who were suspended college. I didn't find anything. But the last guy I remember who's still in the NBA that did have suspension issues was Marcus Smart. Because he punched a Texas Tech fan. Yep. Apparently called him a racial slur.
Yeah,
got
I remember
suspended. That was after a big shot that he hit against Memphis, I believe. And so far, Marcus Smart has been fine. Now, I don't know if that was just a one-time thing.
I mean, he's notoriously known as one of the dirtiest players in the NBA.
But hasn't got suspended. So, I mean, that could be a spot for him to learn from Marcus Smart to be, this is how you can get away from being dirty, but not get suspended. But also, personal conduct, we don't know exactly what that means. What are you guys doing?
Doing what you're doing. Well, you leaned forward, then Dave leaned forward with 2. I'm like, I got to lean forward with 2 fingers.
This is the house. Right.
All right.
I also looked up the Jerome Robinson thing.
Yeah.
You had him at 48, Sean.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Jerome Robinson?
I
Jerome Robinson.
had him at 48.
You had him at 48th overall.
Wow.
Wait.
I had him at 49th overall. and Dave had him at 59th overall.
Our last mock.
The 6.0s. The 7.0 was live. I don't count that.
No. Where do we have him live? Because that was
That was the most recent one.
Nobody took him
in the first round.
in the first round. Nobody.
Same.
Where do we have him at the 5? Because I put him in one of them.
Yeah, you put him in your 6.0.
No, I swear to God, I put him in the 5.
You didn't have him in the 5.
None of us have him in 5.
Because the 5 was just the lottery.
See,
You didn't.
we clearly the brain trust here.
Yeah, we had him 2nd rounder. Dave had him 59th.
I was right.
Who do you have him going before? Who was 60? Who was Mr. Irrelevant?
Justin Jackson out of Maryland.
Oh, okay. Who is he at?
Guess who was...
What team's Justin Jackson on now? Well, guess who what?
What?
You said guess who, and then you stopped.
Oh, no.
I also had 3 politicians drafted in, or 2 politicians.
He's on the
one.
Kings. I thought he was on the Kings, but...
No,
That's the other Justin
that's
Jackson.
UNC Justin Jackson.
Oh, that's UNC
Yeah.
Justin
There's
Jackson.
double Justin Jackson.
The Maryland one's in the G League.
He was injured.
Yeah, G League.
I had 2 politicians drafted in that second
The
round,
Lakeland
as
Magic.
well as
A
a
female.
1990. One was female, and then one player from like the 90s or 80s.
It was like the 70s.
It might have been, you're right. It might have been 70s.
Anyways, I think that's where we're gonna leave the Kevin Porter stuff. I think it's gonna fall just because what does personal conduct mean? And I haven't seen enough from him as a basketball player to take him that high. He's an athlete, so he's gonna go lottery, but I'm concerned about
Yeah,
what
your
what I'm
back
hearing.
half lottery. You're pretty locked.
Yeah.
You don't think that he'll creep back up again during workouts? And...
For other people, yeah.
Okay.
For me, no.
Okay.
Unless I see something that is like what
We're gonna hear the workout
if we
leaks
hear
of
the
like hit 97 out of 100 threes for the Boston Celtics.
If we hear the true story from him, and we hear
okay.
the true story from other sources,
yeah.
And it's not bad, then I'll.
If
be
it's like
fine
he
with
got in
it.
an argument with a teammate or a coach or something,
Yeah,
like,
if it was like a heat of the moment thing, I think that's fine.
yeah.
You want to know who you had at 59? Svi Mikhailuk.
Dude is a baller.
You got it at 59.
He's a shot caller.
little
I think he even
disrespectful.
called that in the live second round mock that guy was going to ball the fuck out.
Oh, man.
Svi Mikhailuk's a badass. Love that guy. Shout out to the Ringer for putting Jerome Robinson at 13 in their fucking mock draft. Love those guys, though. Shout out to KOC, shout out to Charks, and shout out to Danny Chow.
Great
I
people.
think it was Danny Chow. Was it Danny Chow? We don't
Last
great
year? I
people.
don't
We
know.
don't know them.
I can say great people.
We wish we knew them. But also, they wish they had our mock drafts. Anyways, let us know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Are we starting Ringer beef? No, because we're too small. Let us know down in the
That's how you
comments
get
below.
big, Sean.
I say
You
that's
start
how
the
you
beef.
think. You pick beef with
Come
a
at
bigger
me,
company.
KOC.
We're like Wendy's. We're like Arby's. We got the beef.
Have me on desktop, Concepcion. Let's go. I'll bring the spice. Ricky will bring
Something.
soup. Bring
JR
clam
Smith
chowder.
in person. I'll wear a JR jersey and I'll bring the soup.
Let us know your thoughts on King Reporter down in the comments below. If you've listened to this podcast full through iTunes or Blog Talk Radio or Stitcher, we appreciate you very much. If you are on iTunes, don't forget to rate us 5 stars. We greatly appreciate that. Also, check us out on patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you want to be on a podcast, if you want to throw shots at the Ringer on a podcast, go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Twitter, go to twitter.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Go to youtube.com/mostvaluablepodcast reel to sub. And that's about it. You can also buy t-shirts at mostvaluablepodcast.com and then go to our shop. That's going to do it. We're going to go watch some MMA and eat some P-I-Z-Z-A.
Some Zaz.
That's going to,
No.
that's going to do it for us here on the Fast Break Podcast. For Dave, for Ricky, I'm Sean. Shout out to the Ringer.